Pretty sure we'd be regular talking. Perfect. All right. And why does it look sideways? It's kind of like crooked, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just kind of works. Maybe a little bit. I guess it kind of works a little bit. All right. Welcome. Friday, March 9th, 2018. Welcome to episode, are we going to call this episode 10 or episode 11? Because we had some technical difficulties on episode 10.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's do episode 10 Redux.
Okay, episode 10 Redux. This is episode 10 Redux. I am your host, Qierre McGlory, realtor and author of the Blueprint to Successfully Selling Your Home. Along with me, my business partner, my lender, Mr. Moneyman himself, Axel Home Loans Sales Manager, Wesley Oliver. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
Doing well. Looking sharp today.
Thank you. You as well.
Oh, thank you. All right. So if you guys been following our posts that we posted about yesterday, or maybe even on Wednesday, possibly, maybe hinted a little bit about what our topic is going to be. But if you didn't see it, now you see it. Our topic today is going to be new home construction. Should you buy one? Now, I know Wes and I have seen new home construction. We're starting to see a lot of it come in the market more often. Mm-hmm. You're currently dealing with a few of your clients right now that are actually purchasing new home construction.
Yep.
I just, I was dealing with a client that just bought a new home construction in Yorba Anaheim, and actually just visited them like yesterday, and their home looks great. Mm-hmm. They absolutely love their new home construction.
Yeah.
So I know you do have some pros and cons about new home construction.
I do.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So one of the things that we know about new home construction, one of the pros that we've seen about new home construction is that, you get to customize your home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Before construction is complete. Mm-hmm. So you get to pick out like the type of flooring you want, the type of kitchen counters you want, maybe the type of colors you want,
right,
the bathrooms you want, materials, and so forth. Right? So that's one of the pros
it's a home
of it.
in your own likeness.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just to back up, so the important part of this conversation, why we're having it, is, as we've told you before, there's a shortage of inventory out there.
Yes.
And one of the reasons there is a shortage of inventory is because of the fact that, the builders.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Amanda.
The builders and the new construction wasn't happening at the level it should have been, on the heels of.
Hi, Teresa.
On the heels of the, the Great Recession.
Yeah.
They weren't building the way they should have been, the numbers they should have been. So now they're in a mad dash to kind of catch up. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing a lot of new construction out there. And so coupled with the fact that new or old home owners putting their property on the market isn't happening as often right now.
Exactly.
So you may find yourself in a position where you have to go look for new home construction. Mm-hmm. And so it begs the question, like, should you do that? What are the benefits? What are the downsides?
Right.
With everything that's going on in this crazy, financial environment we have going on. So
yes,
that's why we're talking about this today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's number one. You do get to make the home in your own likeness, and it'll have that new home smell. No one's ever slept in it before. No one's ever had
no one's ever lived in it before.
Right. Yeah. So that's good. That's number one.
Yeah.
I guess another benefit, in my mind, is the fact that, and I hate telling you guys this because I'm a lender, but hey, I can't make all you guys use me. So typically they have the builder will have a lender that they're partnered up with, throughout the process. The reason they have that, because they need stability and they need consistency and they need dependability, throughout the process, because they're all about moving these units, getting them sold and flipped.
Oh, for sure. And if there's a way for them to kind of follow the same blueprint system for every buyer,
right,
they're going to do that as closely as possible.
Right. And you really need to be able to know who you're working with and understand what you're going to get in the level of service, because you don't want 50 different home buyers using 50 different lenders, because there's a lot of unknown quantities with that. And that really upsets the production schedule. And also because these homes are being built specifically for the person that is buying them. You want to make sure that if you're building a home for someone, you want to make sure that that person you're tailoring it to is actually going to be able to complete the finance process.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so to do that, they partner up with, particular lenders. And in exchange for you working with that particular lender that they work with,
Mhm.
they'll usually offer you some type of concession where they're paying, all of your closing costs, if not, just a majority of them
Mhm.
or a significant amount of them.
Mhm.
Or they'll offer you free upgrades to the home,
Right.
right? Because they don't, the homes don't start upgraded. They show you the most upgraded plan, but there's a basic plan, a vanilla
Right.
plan, and then from there you can start adding, different tile and changing out countertops and things like that.
Yeah.
So that is one of the benefits. If you happen to use one of the lenders that they work with,
Mhm.
then they will, like I said, either provide you with a significant amount of consideration for your closing costs,
Hey, Brandon.
or they will help you with the upgrades on the home.
Perfect. Yeah, and I guess another pro for new home construction is that, how many times do you actually go into new home construction when you actually have to do new work?
Right.
You never have to lift a feeder. You don't have to worry about paying $1,000 to get something fixed.
Mhm.
You don't have to worry about paint. You come into a house that's ready and brand new and still has that new smell, as you were saying, and you're just ready to move right in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you don't have to worry about what, ghosts or demons are living in the house from the previous, employers. I'm not talking about literally, or the previous owners. I'm not talking about literally, but,
Mhm.
You never know. There could be issues with the plumbing that you don't know about.
Right, for sure. And and unfortunately, it does happen.
Yeah.
with standard cells, you see that happen a lot, for sure.
Yeah, so you never have to worry about that. From day one,
Mhm.
no one else has been here.
Mhm.
Everything's brand new.
Right.
Everything's been tailored. Everything's been inspected. Had to meet all the guidelines and everything. So
Mhm.
that's another benefit of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And then also, compared to a resale and a new construction home, obviously maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot less maintenance on new home construction as
Right.
opposed to, a resold home. So I would say that would be a benefit there too.
Yeah, definitely. And then also with a lot of these new homes,
Mhm.
they're usually mapping out the entire neighborhood. So what you'll get is a lot of new amenities that you may not find if you're buying an older home. So
Right.
a lot of times they'll build parks specifically within that neighborhood. Maybe rec centers.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Gyms, clubhouses.
Pools.
Yeah, definitely that. So you also have that going for you as well. That they're going to build some great amenities for you also usually. So that's another benefit of having new construction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. And then also usually with new home construction, they usually utilize materials that are more energy efficient and eco-friendly.
Right.
You do run into buyers that are concerned about the environment, and you do have buyers that prefer homes that have energy efficiency and things like that. And most new home constructions do have that. So that would be another benefit for new home construction.
Yeah, and that's what I'm noticing as well, because I have especially when we talk about the Inland Empire, they're now kind of starting to build into the home solar.
They're starting to see a lot more of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're either giving you a great deal on it to where you're not paying a whole bunch for it, or it's financed into what you're already doing at a very reduced cost. So that's cool too, because it's obviously going to help you with the electricity bill,
right?
Especially in places like the Inland Empire where
you get high, you get the air blowing all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool too, because like I said, a lot of these places they're either automatically building in the solar option, or they have the solar option that you can take advantage of from the beginning, and you can get a reduced price for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess another benefit for new home construction is normally they're usually built with the highest technology. They're usually wired for speaker system. They're usually wired for internet. They're usually wired for like alarm systems. Right. So all these things that most people don't think about until they actually move into the house. Like, oh shoot, okay, now I got to find an alarm company. Okay, then I got to do this. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had speaker systems? Okay, got to do this. So they actually normally new home constructions usually are equipped with like the best and the brightest toys and gadgets that you have. So
yeah, and some of them actually even have an entertainment package kind of upgrade where you've already got the speakers wired into the wall, or they already wired in so you have the television on the wall with no wires shown and all that. So that's also a great point that they're more technology ready.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Especially in some of these older homes that were built like in the 60s and
you definitely have to do some new rewiring if you're talking about homes that are built in the 60s for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yes. Now, when it comes to new home construction, I mean, it's not all sunshines and rainbows.
Right.
You know, there are some cons to new home construction, like there is, you know, with resale homes as well.
Right.
You know, now brand new homes typically cost more than resale homes in the area.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've seen numbers sometimes upwards to 20% more than what a resale home is.
Yeah, because, well, that's the thing. I mean, when you're getting new, new comes at a premium. Right?
New home, new price.
Yeah, so you definitely have that. And then not only that, but, you know, they're building these homes at the cost of materials and everything today.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Which they're pretty expensive. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with that tariff, but...
Right, exactly.
Or if there are more tariffs to follow. But,
exactly.
You know, but that could be a big factor.
For sure.
The cost of the home. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, looks like Yini has a question here. So if the home is built old school, would they maybe sometimes upgrade the wiring? I mean, okay, so you're saying, like, if you're actually selling your house and your house is old, right, and a buyer's going to come and buy the house, typically, I mean, for me, I've never instructed my clients to ever do any type of rewiring in their house, just to appeal to help the buyer. But obviously, if it's something that might be found during like a home inspection or something where it could be like a safety concern or safety issue, then yes, then we would normally advise to take care of the wiring. Right. Or if the buyer prefers to have their own electrician do it, then maybe we would offer a credit or something like that. Right. So then that could be something that can be taken care of after we close escrow.
Right. But you wouldn't usually, as a seller, you wouldn't normally do that because that gets incredibly expensive.
For sure.
And in this market, chances are you will find someone to buy the house that will not require you to upgrade the wiring. So.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've seen some new homes with old stuff like that? Oh, no, that's horrible. Yeah, that means you need to go in a different direction. If you're seeing new homes with old wiring, old stuff, that's a red flag. You need to get out of there. That's not true new home construction right there. Yeah.
They're on a budget.
You build a new home on a budget. That's horrible. Jeez, that's horrible, man.
Yeah. So another con, just on the on the finance side of the equation. So let's talk about property taxes.
Okay.
So usually when I'm dealing with an older home, usually it's safe when we're going through the pre-approval process to calculate property taxes at like 1.25%.
Right, and that's conservative.
Yeah, because usually they'll either come in right there or under that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So what you have with a lot of the new home constructions, you have either metal roofs, which can get incredibly expensive.
Yes, you can.
As well as special assessments in some cases. So a lot of the buyers I'm working with and I've been working with within the last year, their tax rates are, I've had one that was slightly over 2%. I've had one that, is at like 1.9%, 1.87%. So that's something to consider as well, because for a lot of people, a huge issue or a huge concern when you're buying a house, is what's my monthly payment going to be? You have that level of comfort that you want to achieve with your monthly payment. Well, when you're going through the pre-approval process, if you've dealt with a lender before you even looked at the new home option,
right,
the lender you've been working with, they've probably been looking at a rate of 1.25% as well.
Right, exactly, because they're not going to look at anything more, because, that's typically, like I said, even 1.25 is conservative.
Right.
Normally it's less than that. How's it going, Dante? So it's usually less than that.
Right, yeah. So that's a big, payment shock.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because to put it in perspective, it could mean a couple $100, maybe $300 more, depending on the price of the home that you're paying every month because of the higher tax rate.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider, and that's one of the quote unquote negatives, that you'll see sometimes. And don't get me wrong, it's not always, that high with a new construction. I mean, you had a phone call conversation with a builder the other day. And
they actually went and checked out Auburn Heights. See Auburn Heights right there? It's actually this new construction that's on Anaheim Mills Road. Anaheim Mills actually checked out all the units yesterday, and the property tax is 1.03367.
Right. Yeah.
So it's actually pretty relatively low.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's actually very low. That's low
Mhm.
compared to buying a freestanding house already. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not always the case, but in a lot of the times it is the case because
Mhm.
if you don't know how Mellows work, that's basically usually bonds or some type of financing that they're using to be able to build the homes in the first place.
Right.
And so they're obviously going to pass the savings along to the people who are buying the home.
Oh, for sure.
That's how Mellows work. But also a good question to ask because a lot of them do expire
Mhm.
after, it could be 20 years, could be 30 years. I hear sometimes in some cases you can actually pay them off ahead of time. So those are some good questions to ask if you are purchasing a home
Mhm.
and they do have Mellows or special assessments.
Right.
Ask what they cover, what the options are to pay them and how long they're going to last.
Yeah,
Do they have
exactly.
an expiration date? That's
Okay.
good information to know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, when you walk into these new construction homes, and you see how it's nicely upgraded and
Mhm.
everything like that. I mean, do the models that you see, is that the price that you see there? Is that the price with those upgrades?
No. No. You have to look at it this way.
Yeah.
It's like when you go look at a car on their
Mhm.
website, right? So if you're looking at a brand new, Chevy,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
When you go to the website, they're showing you the top model.
Mhm.
They're showing you all the cool features and everything.
Right.
Now it may start at $22,000, but by the time you
Right.
add all those cool features in that they're showing you,
Uh-huh.
you're closer to like $35,000,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it works the same way with a new home because, if you're having many people come see a home,
Mhm.
you don't want to show them the basic level because, home buyers are dreamers, right?
Exactly,
That's
right.
part of the fun, right?
Exactly. Definitely.
So
Sure.
you want to show them just the best it could possibly be. Like, this is how great it could be to live here and how great you could feel about coming home every day and
Mhm.
walking into a house that looks like this.
Right.
So, no, just keep that in mind that when you're looking at the model that they have, the show home,
Yeah.
as I call it, they're going to be the upgraded version. So you're going to want to ask what comes standard and what are the upgrades and what are the costs for the upgrades, right?
Yeah.
Because usually I can tell you the things that are normally not standard. Countertops,
Oh.
you know what I mean, depending on the material.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so the nicer countertops, that's an upgrade.
Right.
Flooring, that's an upgrade because sometimes in the model home they'll have, hardwood floors or
Mhm.
bamboo flooring, but for the standard you're getting carpet or maybe you're getting laminate or something like
Yeah,
that.
usually carpet.
Yeah,
That's usually carpet.
fixtures.
Yeah.
Fixtures are a big deal. That can change. Appliances.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? The appliance, you might be looking at state-of-the-art, stainless steel,
Right.
appliances in the kitchen, but the model that you're going to buy might have, I don't know, black appliances or
Oh.
or maybe they're steel but not stainless steel.
Oh, there you go. A little better.
Stainless steel. But, or sometimes the lighting can be different because they might have like canned lights in one room, whereas if you buy the other model, there are no lights in that room. So just make sure that you're asking those questions and you understand. And typically, from my experience, what happens is when they show you everything,
Mhm.
You end up agreeing to buy the particular, you pick out the lot and all that, and you guys
Right.
agree to buy it.
Mhm.
And then after you put the money down, you've agreed on that,
Mhm.
they bring you back later on, maybe within the next week or so, to start talking about options.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So now you've picked out this home based on this gorgeous home with top of the line everything, and now they're showing you the price tag to get yourself to that home.
Mhm.
And now you're like, oh man, I really love that home, but my payment was going to be here and then the price is going to be here and I was comfortable with that. And now to get to where I really want to be, I'm going to have to spend an extra $30,000 and my payment's going to go up an extra $300.
Yeah.
So those are just some things to consider going in the door and some things to ask about.
Yeah, for sure. And what I've noticed, normally the construction costs is usually weighted more heavy in terms of the costs.
Right.
It usually costs more than it would be just like an average,
Right.
cost, just because it's new home construction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another con. Another one is the time frame to get it built out, right? because you usually start with a particular time frame. It's usually somewhere in the neighborhood, I would say 3 to 4 months, sometimes 5. And that is an estimate.
You hear that, people? It's an estimate.
Right.
So when the sales lady, whoever you speak to, the sales office, whatever agent there, they tell you, like, for instance, with Auburn Heights, right? Their move-in dates are April and July.
Right.
You know, so certain miles are supposed to be done by April, certain miles are supposed to be done by July. Now, I've experienced with a client last year, when they bought in a new construction in Yorba Linda, they got delayed about 3 times.
Right.
You know, so first it was supposed to get done in July, then it was supposed to get done in September, and then it did not get done until November.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you are comfortable and you're able to be okay with those delays. Because, I mean, obviously, if you need to be in the house for 30 days,
right,
and you're looking at a new home construction, and there's still, and if you look out there, and you spoke to the sales office, and they still said that there's the fees, and they're still going to take some time to get this done, chances are it's not going to be done in 30 days when they tell you.
Right.
There's normally, I've never experienced when they told me it's a date that's done the date. There's usually delays. And I'm not talking about, and, you know, obviously, you know, you would think like, oh, it's probably because of the weather or whatever, but things happen because, I mean, sometimes you have to have safety checks from the city, so then you have to wait for the city to come and do it, and obviously if things are happening, then it gets delayed, you know what I mean, and then maybe the SoCal Gas has to come and inspect the property, and you have to wait for them to be ready to do it, so you have all these moving factors that can cause a delay, because, I mean, I've had that happen with clients myself, and even a client I sold their house in Anaheim Hills, they ended up buying a new construction in Wildomar last year. Same thing, you know, she got delayed 3 times. Luckily, you know, she was able to, we actually ended up extending the escrow for her, so she was able to, you know, we were able to time it correctly, but, you know, the same thing happened with the delay. So it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've had clients where it happened because of weather, so like we had that big month or so where it was raining almost every other day, so it got delayed for that reason. I've had them get delayed for, speaking of utilities, they had to have the meters and everything put in, you know, for the gas and the electricity. And the utility company said, this is when we can be there. It is what it is. We can't be there for 3 weeks.
Right. And it's not like you can move in. I mean, even if the structure is there and, you know, technically it's livable, they're not going to let you move in until all of the safety and all the precautions and everything has been done. Everything's been tested and everything like that. So you're going to have to wait until they actually get, you know, the green light that you can actually move in. So
yeah, and it's not like you can, you know, pay a fee to have them
expedited or something,
or anything like that. Because that's the other thing. Now that we have all this new construction, they have to deal with all this new construction. So they have to find the time to deal with all of them and go and install meters and all that. So you are delayed. And so meanwhile, the real risk for somebody who's buying a home, you either have 1 or 2 situations usually. So you're the person that is selling your home, looking to move into this new home.
Right.
So if you sell your home, what happens if you sell your home before your new home is ready? Now you have to be able to make arrangements to be able to go live somewhere until your new home is ready.
Or if you have an agent like myself, you can also negotiate a longer escrow or maybe some type of rent back situation.
Right. But even that's great, and that can be challenging too because again, it's an estimate, right?
Exactly.
So you can negotiate a 30-day rent back, and they say, hey, it's going to be another 60 days. Now you got to figure something out.
Right.
So there's that part of it. If you're someone who's renting, you know, obviously you want to be able to give your landlord, you know, ample notification for when you move.
For sure.
And that's hard to do as well. And then what if your lease expires in that particular time? Now you have to try to work out a month to month, make sure they're okay with that.
Right, and then obviously that normally usually costs more too to do the month to month. Not to mention you're trying to, you know, you're buying a house as well.
Right. You
know what I mean? So those come to factor as well.
Right.
You know?
And if you have kids and you happen to move to a new area or a new city, and you know they're going to be in limbo because they're living here in this particular city, but the house is in this particular city, and can you enroll them in that school? And now you're commuting back and forth until the home's till the home's done. So that's also something to consider as well. That's you know, another important part of the equation. And then also, since we're talking about, you know, just getting back on the finance part of it. So with the interest rate market right now, it's in flux every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's in flux. It's a pendulum. And So imagine if you're somebody that is qualifying right now for a mortgage based on a particular rate, and your home's not going to be ready, and you can't close escrow for 4 months. What happens if the market moves up or moves away from you, right?
Right.
So you have an idea of what you're buying and what your payment's going to be, and that might be totally different by the time you're ready to close escrow.
Right.
That's number one. And number two, even worse than that, God forbid, that your loan officer qualifies you for that particular rate, and they take you to the limits of your income.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And rates go higher than that, and you now no longer qualify for that home.
Right.
Right? So what that forces you to do, any smart loan officer, what that's going to force them to do is actually qualify you for less just to accommodate that, in case that goes up. And then also, I talked about this before. We happen to have a great program where it's called a lock and shop, where we can't lock your rate for like the next 6 months with where the market is today, but what we can do is put kind of a stopgap on it. So let's say the market today is at 4.5%. We can say lock you in at a rate of 5%. That's good for the next 6 months. So if the market moves higher than that 5%, you still get the 5% rate. If the market is lower than that, you can move down to where the market is.
Now, lock rate. So if the interest rates go above 5, then
you still get the rate of 5,
and that's good for 6 months. Wow. Okay,
so it's a way to hedge your bet. It works a lot like stock options.
Okay.
Puts and calls. That's
for sure.
So that's how that works. So that's the challenge of it as well. The fact that, like I said, the interest rates in the market is in constant flux. And just to give an example, there was, I work with the down payment assistance program.
Correct.
So I had this particular client. She was, she's using one of those programs to buy new construction. I started the pre-approval process with her in January, first week of January 9th. The rate at that point for that particular program was 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yesterday, because I didn't want to risk it anymore. Yesterday, I locked her rate at 5.5%, which is where the market is now on that program. So it hasn't even been officially, 2 months.
Right.
And now we're half a point higher in that particular program.
Right.
So, that is reality. And so that's kind of hard as well. And that's what really makes it tough. What can be tough about the new construction is that you're having to make decisions based on things that, are unforeseeable.
Right, they're out of your control.
Right. And then lastly, as far as I talked about it before, the fact that if you work with the lender that they work with, you can get these allowances and whatnot. So the last thing I would say is that because of that, just be aware that some of those lenders, they want cookie cutter loans.
Right. Yeah, they're not looking for any work to do or any type of creative financing.
Right. So anything that's, outside the box that looks a little funny, looks a little weird, in a lot of cases, they're not offering that to you.
Correct.
So just be prepared that if you're not cookie cutter, when I say cookie cutter, I'm saying like you're doing a conventional mortgage and you're putting 5% down or 10, 20, whatever it is.
W-2 income, you've been working the same job for like 20 million years.
Things like that.
Right.
There have even been some cases where, I've seen they didn't want to deal with, FHA financing, right? In some cases, but, and that's far and few between. But just understand if you're someone that's a little different than that, like you need, some kind of program where you can qualify based on your assets or your bank statements or something like that. They're probably not going to offer something like that to you.
But it's funny you bring up the FHA situation because I've actually ran into that before. Because while the clients I was helping buy a property in Covington, Yorba Linda, initially the sales office told us that they didn't qualify for FHA. And my clients were FHA.
Right.
And at the time, we actually did our research and said, no, it actually looks like you guys do qualify for FHA. Right. Because they had the little rider or whatever they had attached to it or whatever. And she's like, oh, okay. And it's like, I wonder how many other people she turned away with her telling people that, oh, these homes don't qualify for FHA. Right. And luckily, we did our due diligence and research and found, you actually do qualify. You actually do qualify for FHA. So, that's funny you bring that up because some people, they just assume these new constructions don't qualify for FHA. Maybe there are probably some, I think, maybe Heritage or something, Yorba may not have qualified for FHA. But normally, usually, well, like I said, it just depends. But you definitely want to have someone that's actually going to do the work and do the due diligence. Because if we just accepted her word, my clients wouldn't have bought in there. But we did our work and said, actually, no, you do qualify for FHA. And she's like, oh, okay. You guys got the right offer, and we wrote an offer, and they got the house. But we had to do our extra work to make sure, because like you said, you want to be able to do that extra work, because sometimes even the people that work in the sales office don't know everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not keen to everything. Their job is just sell the units. Be pleasant. Be polite.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the great community. Talk about how great these homes are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Trying to get someone to write an offer. Try to get someone to submit their earnest money deposit. But and besides that, though, I mean, are they really finding out when this is going to get done, and how far they are with their projection? For the most part, they're not, because they're just there just to sell the homes. Right.
And I would say that as well. That's one of the things that you also have to consider, is that in a lot of those cases, because they are just looking for cookie cutter loans,
right,
they're not there to really be your advocate. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
And they might not even have the experience or the knowledge to be.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not exhausting all possibilities to put you in the best possible situation financially to get this home.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk in there, saying, I want to, I'm going to do 5% down, and this is what I want to do, and I'm going to buy this property, they might just give you that particular program.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like other programs where you do 5% conventional, and this helping the new home, someone who's buying new construction. And there's a particular program called Home Ready, where if it falls within those particular, on a particular line on the map, not only do you not have to do 5% down, you can do 3% down to buy that, as long as it's a single family residence.
Right.
And you get reduced cost for your mortgage insurance. Right. So I found that I'm looking at this. I'm like, hey, let me see if I can save you some money. I'm doing that. Right. Because that's just part of what I do.
Right.
I'm always trying. But if I'm working under those circumstances and I'm just supposed to keep the conveyor belt rolling,
right, exactly,
I'm not going to look at that in a lot of cases. So you also have to consider that as well. I mean, it's great that you get your some of your fees covered or whatever, and I totally understand. Wouldn't question that. But also, like I said, just understand that that's some of the things that you lose in that particular case, because, like I said, their job is to keep the trains moving.
Exactly right. And if you are not as an easy slam dunk person, I was going, Terry, and if you're not an easy slam dunk person, those move on down the conveyor belt. It's like, oh, okay, we got 3 other deposits for this unit. Okay, perfect. Let's see here, look at their finances. Okay, yeah, this is going to be too much work. All right, next. Okay, and take this person. Okay, perfect. This is clean cut. Okay, we'll accept this one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of these new home constructions, they're actually being hit with a lot of offers too. I mean, most new home constructions usually sell quicker.
Yeah, they're highly competitive.
Exactly.
Highly competitive.
Yeah.
So that is also something to consider. The fact that they it's highly competitive, and it puts you in an environment where you feel like you have to deal with all this instability. I mean, that's probably how a lot of people end up in a situation where they're, already under contract and they haven't even discussed, what it would cost to make upgrades to the home.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't have time. There's a waiting list. There's, 10 people. There are only going to be so many units they build.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I got to get my money in there now. I got to get my good faith deposit in there, and I just got to sign everything. I got to do it now, right? So that's also something. That's also something to consider. Along those lines as well, when you go in there, so you don't, necessarily end up in that position. Always ask them about if there are going to be additional phases. And then what are those additional phases going to entail? Is it going to be the same type of structures, same type of layouts? When will they be available to start taking bids on them and kind of get, some ideas on the pricing? The only thing about the later phases, they typically cost a little more than the initial phases.
Of course, yeah. That's what we notice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes actually, and I'll tell you this, I had one particular buyer that ended up getting a pretty good deal on a new construction home because the person that originally was to buy the home, and they, everything was tailor-made for that particular buyer, fell out of escrow. Right. So in that case, they were eager to get that unit picked up and have someone else buy it. So they ended up getting a great deal out of it, and they didn't have to deal with any of the issues of waiting and whatnot. So sometimes you'll have that as well. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then also another con to be new construction is sometimes the construction's not done, right? I mean, you may be on phase 1, but there may be phase 4. There may be 4 phases.
Right.
So you move into your phase 1, and you still have the construction going on.
You're gonna build phase 2.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You're still there. You're still hearing the noise. You're still seeing the construction come in. Maybe the parking's not done all the way. Maybe the picnic area and the barbecue area.
Right.
All that stuff is not done either. So you also have to be aware of that. Because a lot of people think like, okay, cool. I'm buying this home. When I move in, everything should be done. I don't have to worry about anything. But if you're in those early phases, you're still going to have to go through that trial. And remember, just because they tell you that maybe everything will be done by August doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be done by August. So you may be dealing with a lot of that construction stuff a lot longer than you wanted to. So that's definitely something you want to consider as well when it comes to new construction.
Yeah, and actually, since you brought that up, that reminds me of another actual pro. So like if you're in that first phase, everyone is getting built out at the same time. You're all doing your appraisals, and that's getting put into the system. And as they build those later phases, like I said, the later phases cost more money. Right. So now you have the people in the second phase, they're paying more. All these appraisals are getting put on the record. Same thing with third, same thing with fourth. So if you bought in the first phase, what you'll see is you'll see a little bump in your property value because all these other phases that are pretty much the same home you're buying are being added to the mix, but they cost more money. And all those appraisals are being on record, all those assessments and whatnot. So that is sometimes a benefit if you get in early.
So that's nice, bro. You get some equity in your property already. That's nice.
Yeah. So ultimately, I mean, there's a lot of, just like anything in life, there's a lot of good reasons to do something, and there's some reasons to consider not doing it. Our goal is just to kind of lay them all out for you guys here today, for those who might have to consider buying new construction. Right. So you have the complete story.
Exactly.
And it really comes down to, your pain tolerance, right? Or what you're willing to deal with, what you're okay with, and how bad you want that new construction.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have a lot of great questions to ask. You know what to ask. You know what kind of information you should be looking for. And that's going to help you be a better informed buyer, and that's always the goal, right?
Exactly. Be as informed as possible. Ask questions. Don't think that you're asking a stupid question, because this is most of the time, this is a large financial investment a person's going to make. So you want to make sure that you're fully informed and you're fully comfortable about making the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we've given you some great questions to ask. You know which information you should want to know. Because sometimes it's not even about asking questions. It's about being able to ask the right questions.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so hopefully this is very beneficial to everyone who's with us today.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to buy some new construction, we can definitely help you do that.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll make sure to ask those right questions, and definitely, make sure to keep you updated with the phases and the construction and everything like that. So,
and by the way, along the lines, like I said, of the perks that you get for working with the lender that they already have, that they're working with, that's totally fine. If you have any questions, I do it all the time. So I can direct you. I spent probably 20 minutes yesterday with one of the guys I'm friends with that, works out of my gym. He's looking for a home right now. He's not using me, but he got a lot of false information from, his current lender. And he's still working with his current lender, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I gave him a lot of great information so, he can make better informed decisions about him and his family. And he still thought he had to put down 10 or 20% to find conventional loans.
Oh, wow. How old is he? When's the last time he bought a house?
Well, this is the first time buying a house. And
really? Okay, that sounds like something maybe his parents might have told him.
Yeah.
To the 20%.
Well, that's just what, and by the way, the majority of Americans think that you need 20%.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
They absolutely do. I did I told you I did that workshop at my brother's church not too long ago.
Yes.
I purposely ask that question when I do workshops. And
everyone raise their hand.
Everyone raise their hand. I ask the question, who knows how much you have to put down to buy a house? A few hands went up. I picked one. 20%. He just knew it. He was proud. He was like, "Yeah, I got this one."
Yeah.
Wrong. But hey, I'm not trying to make an example of you, but I'm glad you said that.
Right.
Because you are not the only person in this room who thinks that.
For sure.
In fact, a lot of people in this room think that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all about, helping this guy get the right information.
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, holding his the current loan officer he's working with to a higher standard. Because in my mind, they shouldn't. My job is not to just follow you down a hole. My job is to take the information, ask the right questions, take the information that you're giving me, and with all my knowledge of the different programs and guidelines and things like that, help you find the best possible loan that fits into the overall picture of your finances, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What your goals are. So,
exactly.
So definitely, if, like I said, if you ever have any questions or whatnot, we don't have to work together. I just like to be helpful.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like to work with Wes. He's definitely always wants to be helpful, always wants to educate people so they can make informed decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely important. That's definitely, a person you want to have in your corner, a person that's willing to give up their time to actually help you and explain and break these down in layman's terms so you actually understand it.
Well, yeah, because, I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I love helping people get into homes. That's why I love working with first-time home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
I love that whole experience.
Yeah.
And them getting the keys for the first time and, standing outside with you with the sold sign. It's just a magical experience, right? It really is. It absolutely is. So I just love what I do and helping people out with that. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have any questions regarding new home constructions, financing, or anything like that? Do you guys have any questions? We'll stay on for a few more minutes. So if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to type them in. Because unfortunately, guys, I can't hear what you're saying, so you guys can't ask a question.
Right.
You should type it, as well as you guys do on Instagram. You got your phone out, so you can just type on your phone, because I do it all the time. So if you guys have any questions, just let us know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, one thing that I was thinking about, just, with your new listing. Yeah. And the cross-qualification process and whatnot. And like I said, I reached out to everybody, that submitted an offer. Right. But Friday. Some of their people got, their loan officers got back to us right away. Here's everything you need. Some were calling on Wednesday, hey, I'm out of town, but I think I can get my assistant. and that is such an important part of, who you're working with. You know what I mean? And that happens on my side of the fence as well as yours. Correct. Right? Because in some cases, you have a listing agent and you have, someone like you that has a buyer that is very interested in the particular property. Correct. You can't get them on the phone, or they take forever to get back. You submit an offer, they don't respond. And, right. So just keep in mind while we're, kind of waiting to see if anybody has questions. That's something that's very important about, who you're choosing to represent you. And I get it. Everybody has somebody in the family that's a realtor, or a friend that's a realtor, or a friend that's a mortgage banker, or a family member that is. But at the end of the day, the question that you should be asking yourself is, based on this person's experience, their work ethic, and their merit, right? Would I still choose to work with them if they were not a friend or family member to get this done? Right? Because I like that question. That's a very good question. Well, yeah, because I don't know about you. I have a lot of friends and family, but I'm not letting them do a root canal on me because they're not dentists. Or if they're terrible dentists, they're still not right, because they're family. I know we got 100 lawsuits against him, but he's family, man. I gotta let him get in there. Yeah, that's not happening. So, however you meet these people, however you come by them, like I said, you always want to just check credentials and get a feel for how they work and what they've done. And, if you don't have that, it could end up costing you. You might miss out on getting the house that you want. You might miss out on being able to finance your loan or whatever. Yeah. Just something to always keep in mind. Because I'm telling you, I told you I went and worked the campaign trail this weekend. I went around to quite a few open houses. And, man, it's not slowing down. It's not slowing down. There's still a ton of people.
Well, for sure. I mean, we're still seeing a strong, seller's market right now.
Yeah.
So, getting 20-plus groups in at your open house is not uncommon.
No.
Not uncommon at all.
No, it's pretty competitive. I was talking to one particular agent this week. They were disappointed because they only got 14 groups this week at their open house.
Oh, jeez.
Like, yeah, last week I had 25. It's slowing down.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
But yeah, it's still pretty competitive out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you definitely want to be on your toes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like I don't see any questions right now, but if you guys do have any questions, you can feel free to post later, or you can contact us with our contact information there. Want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your attention. And if you guys have any topics that you would like us to discuss, feel free to message us. And we would love to do a topic on what you guys would like us to talk about. So, yeah, and also make sure to have a great weekend. It's Friday. Hopefully we have some nice weather, right? We should have nice weather this weekend, right?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I don't think it's going to rain or anything.
No. There'll be plenty of people looking at open houses.
Oh, yes. Yeah, back out there again. So, yeah, it's good. So, like you said, definitely seeing still a lot of activity at these open houses. So, yeah, so it's good. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us. Our contact information is in the post here. And, yeah, thank you guys once again for tuning in, and look forward for you guys tuning in next Friday. And if you guys have any needs at all, like I said, contact information is right there. You can contact us. And also, make sure if you do follow me on any social platforms, whether it's Instagram or Snapchat, check out the stories. I mean, I'm always looking at homes. Actually, checked out the Auburn Heights new construction homes yesterday. So it hasn't been 24 hours yet, because I think I went like at 3:30, 4 o'clock. So it's still on my Facebook and Instagram stories. So you guys can check out those models because they're nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're fabulous. They got all the nice new upgrades and everything like that. But as Wes told you, it's going to be at least an extra $35,000 or more, just depending on the type of upgrades that you want. So Make sure to check those out. And as again, we appreciate your support. Like, comment, share, and yeah, I'll let Wes finish off with his famous saying. We got to put this on a T-shirt. I think one day when we do an episode, we'll both be rocking the T-shirt with your famous quote on it. I'm just saying.
I like that. So as always, people, be assertive and be proactive, and have a great weekend.
All right.